welcome to the Leaderonomics show. Today, we have a fantastic person joining us as a guest on our show. We have a young, bright, dynamic founder of one of the fastest growing entrepreneurial companies around, by a company by the name of MindValley. I'd like to welcome Vishen Lakhiani. Vishen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vishens. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yep. Vishen, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, MindValley is a relatively newcomer in this this whole game, Web 2.0 game, and also this whole internet world. Tell us a bit about yourself and how you ended up with this organization called MindValley.
Well, I grew up in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. When I was around 19 years old, my parents sent me to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, Michigan, for my education. I majored in computer engineering. There I met the guy who would ultimately end up being the co-founder of MindValley, a German student by the name of Michael Reining. Mike and I became friends. We shared a house together for most of our college years. After college, we sort of drifted apart, and we were both working for different jobs. Mike went on to work for Bain and Company. He went on to work for the Boston Consulting Group. He ended up getting an MBA from Stanford. I ended up working for a non-profit. I ended up starting a couple of small businesses, all of which ultimately failed. And somehow when we were around 26 years old, we decided that we were tired of working for other people and seeing amazing ideas that we come up with, making other people wealthy. And we certainly had that itch to start our own company. That's how MindValley started.
Okay, what does MindValley do? Because as a business, what's your model?
We are a publishing company. We are a publishing company, and we focus on working with personal development authors to help them get published in new media. So let's say someone who has a best-selling book on wealth management or some spiritual practice. Maybe around 2 decades ago, their only option would be to approach a big publisher and get a book out. Sometime in the 80s, 90s, they could experiment with CDs, sell CDs. But now, with the dawn of the Web 2.0 revolution, things have changed a bit. Now, there's a whole different area of publishing that has opened up, and that's using interactive websites, YouTube, streaming audio, podcasts, blogs, Facebook, interactive membership sites, interactive groups. That's what we do for authors. Now, just to give you an example, one of the authors we work with is a guy called Bert Goldman, who's based in Los Angeles, and he had a book out called The Power of Self-Mind Control. Now, it was self-published. He's a brilliant man, but getting a book out in the bestsellers list is highly competitive. Bert was selling maybe 100, 200 copies of his book. Now, working with Bert, we told him to stop selling the book. And instead what we did was we took the knowledge from that book and we turned it into a series of videos, into a software, into online lessons and an interactive community site. And we took sales from 3,000 a month to 100, and this month it was 130,000 a month. And Bert, and a typical author who earns maybe 6 to 10% from a publisher, we pay 20%. So there's more revenue flowing in and the author gets more. So really what we're doing is we're pioneering a completely new type of publishing.
Fantastic. Many leadership stories start with real failures. Just since we're talking about leadership in the Leaderonomics show, what is your view of leadership? What do you think leadership constitutes, and what's your take on leadership?
Now, before I actually started running a company and before a company started getting successful, my definition of leadership was basically this. It came from Eisenhower. A leader is someone who makes people do things you want done because they want to do it. Right now, I see this as a rather primitive idea of leadership. To me, leadership is far more than that. It's recognizing that every individual has within them the power to be as powerful, influential, brilliant, and magnificent as you, as the leader. Your job as the leader is to simply remind them of this power and show them that ability that they have within them. And that's how I've changed my definition of leadership. Right now, in my company, what I do is I empower people. When I started MindValley, what I found was the initial first few years, I was basically running a team of employees who basically did stuff I asked them to do. Me and Mike, we were the guys coming up with the vision, moving the company forward. As time went on, typically when you're running a company, you go through one of the fastest learning processes of your life. I learned more in 1 month at MindValley than I do in maybe a semester of college. As these rapid learnings happen, more and more insights and pieces of this puzzle started coming into our head. One of the biggest pieces of the puzzle that fell in our head very early on, this was when we were around 2-3 years old, was Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth.
Yep.
And in that book, he talks about why many businesses fail. They fail because the business owner gets so caught up in the day-to-day managing of the business that he doesn't have time to automate, to build processes, and to free up his own time. Now, that book was like mind-shattering to us because we realized that we've been working for our business rather than having our business work for us. That started us on this, over the last 2 years, this major trend of reorganizing and adding processes to automate the business. Now, we got so good at processes that pretty much everything in MindValley right now is automated. We invest a lot in technology. I delegate everything. And when I started freeing up my day-to-day responsibilities from, doing nitty-gritty stuff such as accounting, proofreading, to actually simply coming up with a vision and helping the business grow, my style of leadership also changed. I was no longer cracking the whip on people, making sure they met their deadlines. My goal was to paint a picture, a very big, bold picture, and then to motivate people to reach that picture. Now, a couple of things we found we found a couple of things that helped us move ahead leaps and bounds in terms of people's performance and in terms of growing the company. Now, as I said earlier, my definition of leadership changed to be this: recognizing how powerful your employee or your followers are and reminding them of how powerful they are. So this is how we do it in MindValley. We call the concept core identity.
You're based in Malaysia, which is very interesting. For a company, most companies of your sort sort of base themselves in the Silicon Valley. Why do you base yourself in Malaysia?
Well, we are an American company. Pretty much 70% of our customers are Americans. All our partners are in the US. Everything we do is American based. We started the company in New York, in Palo Alto. Mike was working in Palo Alto. I was working in New York. We started the company with just the two of us and my wife. But neither Mike or I, nor I, were Americans. He was German, I was Malaysian. And I decided to move back to Malaysia at a certain point with my wife, who's Estonian. And we moved back to Malaysia with MindValley. Mike came and joined us around 9 months back, and he ended up meeting his wife in Malaysia. And so MindValley was now firmly rooted in Malaysia. And we just started growing and growing and growing. But what we found was really interesting. With the internet, it doesn't really matter where you are. Now, I have to fly to the US a lot, but otherwise, with the internet, the fact that the majority of my clients, my business partners, our suppliers are all in America makes no difference to us. Everything is fully channeled through the internet. But the big advantage of Malaysia is that it's a fun city to be in. I mean, despite the fact that operating costs here are lower, the other great thing about Kuala Lumpur is it's a major touristic destination. So we are able to attract amazing talents from all around the world who want to come here just so they can fly to Bali once a month. Those are a couple of major advantages to being based in this part of the world.
That's fantastic.